Shalom. How about you, Mashabrakatah? Hope y'all having a good Monday. Gonna wait for the brothers to get up in here right quick and then we're gonna get started. Y'all go ahead and hit the like button when you come in the building so Israel can see, so the algorithm can catch. Also make sure y'all like and share the video. Share it, please, so Israel can see. If you have any Egyptologist friends, you got anybody that's Afrocentric in any way, bring them on, right? If any of you Christians want to get some smoke, y'all can get some of that tonight too. Wanted to get this lesson out the way. I'm gonna have to do another one like this soon for the Northern Kingdom. It's gonna be next week. But after that, we're gonna have a lesson pertaining to keeping the feast days and everything like that. How to keep the feast days and stuff, since Passover is coming up, New Year for us is coming up. So so lucky. So we're gonna get into that. But yeah. Y'all hit the like button and everything so we can get started. Like and share the video. See something right quick. Okay. All right, let me pull this up and we'll get started. All right, cool. Yeah, once again, y'all hit the like button and everything when y'all come in the building. But we are the Sons of Thunder Israelites. It is our prayer and heart's desire that all Israel might be saved. Shalom. Hope you're having a good Monday. You know what I'm saying? I'm Brother Eliel.
Judah.
All right, so hold up. Let me get this off the screen. All right, cool. Shalom. All right, bet. So, as y'all can see what the title is tonight. Last week we got on the Christians. There's a prevalent African American community, obviously coming into the truth, and many of us that are in the truth now and have friends that we're trying to wake up. You know what I'm saying? It might even be just people that are trying to teach other random folks, right? We've come into contact with this thing called Clubhouse, right? So if you saw the debate, not the debate, but the interview with Brother Yawal on the Sakari page, then you heard him and brothers talking about that, right? So on this Clubhouse, there's a bunch of brothers and sisters in particular that think they know something about themselves and what can help the black community, what's hurting the black community and these type of things, right? So they just sit on this app all day long and they have these conversations. They're supposed to be beneficial conversations for us, but they end up being just, they end up turning into matches where somebody's trying to kick doctrine and sounds smarter than someone else. You know what I'm saying? So what I realized is in a lot of the rooms where Hebrew Israelites are teaching and we're trying to get people's attention and stuff like that and explain to them who they are as far as their biblical identity, which is their true nationality, by the way. A lot of them are stuck onto thinking that the Bible is a book of fable and folklore, and they latch more onto seeing themselves in reality in real time in like Africa. You know what I'm saying? So anything African, they have a better time of understanding or an easier way of understanding or even just a better avenue to make themselves understand, even if it's false, right? That they come from Africa, right? Particularly a place called Egypt. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And got a couple videos, and as we watch these videos, as usual, we're going to unpack and debunk. And I mean, it's not going to be too much. It's probably going to be about 15 minutes total in videos that we watch. But the rest of the video, obviously, the rest of the lesson is going to be complete scriptures, just explaining the identity, right? Especially since we have that identity doctrine that we know is also going around the Christian church. So I just felt this was an important topic to talk about. Next week, we could get into a little bit about, Latinos and Hispanics and the difference between that for our Northern Kingdom brothers and sisters and stuff. But right now, I wanted to get this done because, as I said, there's an identity crisis going on with Judah in particular. There's teachers in African American studies that teach we're African, right? In school, you grow up kindergarten through 12th grade, learning you African American, black, So Martin Luther King, month of February, this is right. This is Black History Month. So right now, any child that's in school, whether they're in the classroom or doing it online because of the virus, they're learning about Black History Month. So they're being taught right now in school, tomorrow, the next day, right? Next week, the week after that, until the end of the month, that they're African American, right? That they're color out the crayon box, and that their history starts in 1619, right? So, Judah, tell me right quick, is my screen looking blurry or is that you on your end?
It might be me on my end. I don't know what's up with you.
Just making sure. But
Yeah, it is me.
no, you straight, you good though.
Okay,
But
cool.
it's fine. It's actually good now. But yeah, just make sure y'all hit the like button though, so that we could catch the algorithm because it don't look like we've caught it yet. So hit the like button. You know what I'm saying? And stay tuned. So as usual, you're gonna need your notepad. So get that ready. Your pen. You need an apocryphal concordance. We will have apocryphal precepts, right? For those of you that want to see what that looks like again, concordance, apocryphal concordance, right? And of course, your Strong's concordance, right? So to get the books ready. But before we like I said, before we get into the precepts, let's look at a video right quick. Right, I want to show you guys something. This is an African American Studies teacher. I don't remember what the dude name is, but it's gonna be on the video somewhere. Rare. Ranoku Rashidi, right? So that's the thing. You get in front of these brothers and sisters and stuff like that, they change their name, you know what I'm saying? Since the Black Power movement, they've been doing this, right? And these folks, they get up high. Ivan Van Sertima, all these other people, you know what I'm saying? They move up from the Black Power movement and then they get into a position to be able to teach kids, right? Teach young people who can be easily persuaded into, thinking whatever sounds smart is right. So that's what's happened throughout our time since basically like the 50s and 60s. It's been a lot of people who thought they found out the correct information about us, only looked in one place, which was Africa, and now they feel like they have all the information, all the facts about who the so-called Negro is, right? Who the so-called black people are, whether it's in America, whether it's Africa, whether it's Europe, whether it's India, whether it's, Australia, wherever black people is, they think they all come from the same place. And, that's our identity. So what they do is they get into a position of power, they get into a place where they can teach, and they teach this doctrine to the people. They teach it to the kids, and these kids end up changing their name, and they grow up and teach their kids the same doctrines, and it goes on and on and on and on and never stops, right? So at some point we have to, teach the truth, right? Teach the facts so that the young ones, right, will grow up learning the facts. That way we can have more books written, you know what I'm saying? More people going into history to teach kids, more philosophers, more teachers, more doctors that could go out there and actually teach truth about our identity and where we come from, right? So that's the main reason I'm doing this class. Plus I felt it was, important due to this being Black History Month. I didn't want to do no Black History special for Milk Monday. You know what I'm saying? So we just gonna have one good class and keep it moving. All right. So that being said, let me share my screen. Let's listen to what this jackass said. I mean, this brother said. Salaki. Okay.
Now you can measure if you want to the great civilization of Kemet because of the pyramids they built, the architecture in general, the temples, the tombs, the monuments, the literature, but you also look at the greatness of a society based on the values of the people in that society. So that women are highly respected. The worst thing you could do was to disrespect your mother. That was considered an abomination. You just didn't do that. It was unthinkable. There were no prisons in ancient Egypt. The concept of prison seems to be purely European. There were no old folks' home. It wasn't like you were waiting around to put your parents away. There was no child abandonment there. I've never heard of sexual abuse. There's not a single case of rape in the entire history of Egypt. This is profound. Because if you look at Europe, that's the entire history. Warfare, violence, child abandonment, the abuse of women, so that a dog becomes a man's best friend. That's deep. You cannot even find, and I've only seen one exception, and I'll share that with you today, in the history of ancient Greece and Rome, where you have a man and a woman portrayed together. Do you know Plato, who is regarded as the greatest of the Greek philosophers, thought that a romantic relationship between a man and a woman was a form of insanity. If a man fell in love with a woman or a woman fell in love with a man, it was Plato's idea that they must be insane. Plato's idea of the ideal relationship was an older man and a young boy. So don't you go around talking about, I want a platonic relationship. Sometimes sisters tell you that. Look, you know, I don't want to get too deep, I don't want to get intimate, I just want a platonic relationship. And I guess in their attitude, in their thinking, that's a non-intimate relationship. That ain't what that word means. We should examine a lot of the terminology.
All right, I'm gonna stop there for right now. So, first thing we're gonna examine, right? Because this is something, if you've ever watched any of these guys, you know what I'm saying, that believe in Egyptology and stuff like that, you know, you'll realize that they always like to start with this stuff because they feel like the Bible comes from the white man, right? So they like to take a jab at the white man, and they always go at Greek society. So they talk about the pederasty, you know, the Pluto quote that I gave you guys last week, you know what I'm saying? They talk about pedophilia, rape, all that type of stuff, right? Sexual immorality, all that stuff, right? But they don't realize is this the thing I don't like about, you know, Egyptologists and people that believe in Africa is wholeheartedly where we come from and all that type of stuff, so to speak, in general, right? Everything that Africa is great for, whether you like it, understand it, believe it or not, besides Timbuktu, which was an Israelite society, right? Everything that Africa was great for that had nothing to do with Israelites, basically, at its forefront, I would say, would be Egypt, right? That's their crown jewel, their crown possession, their crown city, right? So what they don't do, though, is they don't go deep into the things that made Egypt what it was, right? They don't go deep into the pedophilia of Egypt. They don't go deep into the things that the Greeks learned from the Egyptians, right? Because it's clear now with the way that, well, with the doctrine of the Hebrew Israelites, the stuff that we've been able to figure out and learn about Esau, right? The so-called white man, the devil that the Bible speaks of. We've been able to learn that these people have basically adopted their whole culture mostly from the Egyptians, right? They've put it on their dollar bill. They idolized the pyramids, right? They've even made themselves the people of the land of Egypt. They've kicked out the so-called real Hamites and they've made themselves the people of the land, right? So this is what we have to do and what we have to like examine. So what the brother said first of all was that, you know, he basically said that the Greeks were responsible for like pederasty and all that type of stuff, right? Sexual immorality. There was nothing like that in Egypt, is what he began to say too, as well, right? So I just want to show something right quick, because we're gonna play a Young Pharaoh video for about 5 minutes, and he's gonna basically say the same thing, but I don't want to play this part because he cuss a lot. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna skip over that part from him, but I wanted y'all to hear it from the professor. So let me see if I go find. All right, we're gonna go through these right quick, just so we know how Egypt was, right? If you guys recognize this, these are screenshots from General Hashar and the Egypt on trial, right? So yeah. So look, it says, were the Greeks the first to wrestle naked? No. So we always get the idea that that it's the the Egyptians that basically had everything natural and black and all that type of stuff, and the Greeks were the first freaks, right? But the fact of the matter is they weren't. The Greeks learned everything that they learned from a society that they were trying to mimic, right? The society that they were mimicking was a society that, was the only other immoral society that basically was able to rise during that time, right? Only three societies you had that were huge before Greece and Rome were Mesopotamia, Egypt, and Israel. That's it, right? Assyria, Babylon, they were big because we were there. Basically, they got big off the backs of us, just like Egypt. But the main crown jewels were looked at as Mesopotamia, Egypt, probably Babylon would be next, and then Greece and Rome. And Persian and Medes would be stuck in there too, but they weren't looked at as big as a empire at the end of the day. So this is what you get, right? You get the Egyptians learning and trying to adopt the lifestyle and the culture of the Greeks. So it starts with wrestling naked, right? So the tomb of Vizier Ptahhotep of the 5th dynasty is seen wrestling butt naked with some of his soldiers, right? Here we have something else, right? This is the Ebers Papyrus, translated by James Henry Breasted, translated from the German to English, Cyril P. Bryan, MB, BHC, BAO, right? It says organic remedies, right? So these are organic remedies from the actual Egyptians. They used human excrement mixed with yeast of beer and honey, and it was recommended as a dressing for wounds, right? Male semen was used as a flavoring agent in mixture which relieves abdominal I can't see what that is. Oh, abdominal obstruction by emesis. So they use semen in their drinks and stuff like that as a flavoring agent, probably on their food and stuff like that. And as a remedy, they would use human excrement and yeast beer or yeast, right? Basically to heal wounds. So he's not mentioning none of this stuff to the children in the room that he's teaching, right? He's not explaining to them that they would use their human excrement to put on their wounds when they got into a fight, and that the men were basically, letting one off into their coffee before they drink it, because that's basically what was going on, right? As you can see, right? Human excrement, crushing yeast of sweet beer, sulfuric oil, honey, and applied as a poultice. I don't know what that is. Polterize. Another male and female semen applied therein. Okay, yeah, I don't know what that is. But it's basically explaining to you that they would use this stuff, right? As flavoring agents and stuff like that in their food, which is disgusting. This is a funerary papyrus of Hinatawe. And as you see what's going on here, I don't need to explain it, but you can see it, right? So he talks about sexual immorality from the Greeks, and look at the sexual immorality of the Egyptian gods. These are the people that they would actually be bowing themselves down to. And you see what the brother's doing here. This is his tomb. So they would go and pray to these things. They would go and worship the images on the wall. They would worship images like this, right? And people like Jabari Osaze and Young Pharaoh and Sarah Soup and Spaghetti, they would all like you to follow these type of images and the people that drew these type of things and, believed in this type of stuff. But then they have the audacity to get on the Greeks, right? Huh? They have the audacity to get on the caucasity of the Edomites. But the Edomites learned everything from the people that they're trying to claim to be, right? Moving on. It says, this is the Euros on the Nile Carol Misalowick. I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's this is what Yahweh All was speaking about. If you guys watched camp on Saturday, I believe it was this Saturday or last Saturday, when he explained to you about the Egyptian god and the lettuce, right? This is the actual image of that lettuce and that god with the rod and all that other stuff, right? So what's happening here, if you can't see the picture, they had a ceremony where Amenhotep I would offer lettuce to this god, and the god would, ejaculate onto the lettuce, and it would be a ritual where they eat the lettuce afterwards. So Yeah, moving on. This is Egypt, by the way. You know what I'm saying? Hotep, right? This is the Coffin Tech spell, 635, V258. It says, Ra has no power over me, for I am he who takes away his breath. Atum has no power over me, for I copulate between his buttocks. If you don't know what these words mean, you can rewind the video and Google it, because this is a family show. But this is Egypt, right? These are the Egyptians. Let me see if I got a better image. Nope, I don't. Let me read it. All right, this is Coffin Tech 700, right? VI 333AJ, A-J. For a man to be among the living, it's between the cows of Geb, or Jeb, however you pronounce his name. I will escape thence, and Geb will be purified. May he give me his crowns, may place for me his ear, his ear of corn, which is upon his mouth. Oh, I don't want to read this part out loud. Damn. His wee between the buttocks of his son and heir. If a man has no son, it is against the back of the daughter of the phoenix that he acts. So this is traditions of the Egyptians. This is that Hotep stuff, right? This is what these African American studies teachers, these Egyptologists, these brothers that want you to be Afrocentric. You know what I'm saying? African this, African that, EFI, and all that other stuff that they're trying to teach us now. This is what they want us to believe in. This is what they're going back to without doing the research, right? This is why Yahweh tells us before we debunk something, you have to know what they teach, right? You have to do your complete research on something before you can, either accept it or choose to cast it off. They accepted Egyptology without looking into what the Egyptians actually did, because you heard the man himself, right? He said there was no sexual immorality in Egypt. The man just said, he said there was no rape in Egypt. There was no recorded rape because it wasn't looked at as rape. He just said if he can't have sex with the dude's son and his heir, he gonna go on his daughter's back. That would be rape in our society, right? But the daughter doesn't know it's rape because her God is telling her dad to do this. This is the God speaking to them, right? So this is Egyptology for you, ladies and gentlemen. This is the stuff that they don't teach you, right? This is Coffin Tech 640, VI 145A-D. If there be made a slaughtering against me in a rebel festival against me and a striking of horns, then will the swelling occur in the eye of Jeb. Oh my goodness. Then will I swallow for myself the rod of Ra, and the head of Osiris. Okay? I didn't even know that was gonna be in there because I took these pictures a long time ago. Slack. Yeah. But y'all see what this is, right? Goodness gracious. They even collect phallics. That's what that is in the picture. I'm not gonna read that coffin text to you, but that's what this is. These are phallic collections from the Egyptians, the Hamites, the Cushites, the Puttites, the Udites, the Canaanites, everybody-ites, right? That's from Ham. This is them. This is what they believe in. This is what they do. And if you like Africa, this is you, right? So check me out. This is Ma'at, right? The laws of Ma'at are connected to these very things, these very gods, these very principles of the people that we're speaking about, right? The folks that wrote the laws of Ma'at believed in these gods that are talking about copulating in each other's buttocks and stuff. You understand what I'm saying? Do y'all feel what I'm saying? So this is what, I just wanted to show y'all this before we really get to the nitty gritty of what the lessons gonna be like, of the things that's gonna be spoken about by people that believe this stuff, right? No, see, this the thing, SK, right? They don't teach this doctrine because they don't do the research on this stuff. These people believe they're Egyptian. They believe that we're Egyptian and that they should teach us to go to Egypt and visit it every year, do tours to Mecca like the Muslims and all this other stuff, right? Travel down the Nile River, visit the Levant region, all that other stuff they want us to do, right? Because they haven't done the research to find out what these people were doing. All they care about is they got big old pyramids with 1,000-foot blocks, right? These are the same people, basically, that the white man is teaching your kids this month that they come from, because they're telling you they're African, right? So when your kid gets to high school, he's in 6th grade, she's in 6th grade right now, right? When she gets to 9th grade, if something's gonna click in her head, she's gonna want to do some research, and the research she's gonna think to do isn't gonna be about the Israelites; it's gonna be about Africans. She's going to get into Afrocentricity, or he's going to get into Afrocentricity. He's going to start wearing dashikis, right? He's going to start watching Black Panther, Wakanda, huh? Right? Because that's all he's going to feel he could connect himself to or herself to, because that's what they're teaching you. But then when you do the research, you realize this is what the deal is here. You know why they push homosexuality in the Black communities? Because a lot of the Edomites don't know that we're the Israelites. They think we're these people. And these people were perfectly fine with homosexuality, as you can see. Right? This is why people like, Young Pharaoh and Shara Super Spaghetti, Jabari Osaze, they all seem a little effeminate. Because look at what they believe in, right? Moving on. This is amazing, guys. Like, just think. All you Hebrew Israelites that was involved in this stuff before you found out about the truth, shame on you. Goodness gracious. All right, look. And you want to talk about King David. You see this? I can't tell what this is, but that don't look right. Whatever it is. Somebody been, yeah. All right. More phallic pictures, because they're obsessed with it. You know what I'm saying? This is what men were drawing these images in the tombs for the pharaohs. Like, these are in pharaohs' tombs. They got a bunch of phallics in their tombs, in their guys. Like, what you need these images for? I don't understand. And a lot of these guys would claim, homosexuality is not a good thing. It's bad. But look at what they're trying to teach us to go back to. They're telling us we need to go to Egypt, go look at the walls, experience our culture. When you go and look at the walls, you're going to see this. I'm supposed to experience this? You want me to believe that my people drew this on the wall? Okay. You funny. History of condoms, right? There's no sexual immorality in Egypt. No history of rape. No history of disease, right? Let's see. The history of condoms. This was from a PhD. I can't see his name, though, because it's marked out. But, yeah, Chip Hans, I believe his name is. Or Chip Vance. It's one of them. Chip Hans or Chip Vance, right? But anyway, it says, if Egyptian society was strict on sexual moral, why did they have condoms to prevent sexually transmitted diseases? This is Egypt, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see if I can zoom in on this to read it, because it's kind of, it's really small. I might not be able to read that for you. Oh, I might. Let me see. I'm going to have to read the white. So it says 100 to 200 AD, the earliest evidence of condoms used in Europe comes from the caves and the paintings of the catacombs of France. There also evidence that some form of condoms was used in Imperial Rome, 1500s. The syphilis epidemic was spread, which is how it's how Alexander died, and what's his name also had syphilis. Rodrigo Borgia's son, fake Jesus, Cesare. He had syphilis too. So I'm trying to read the part where it's talking about Egypt though. It's probably in red, but I can't read it. But yeah, basically the reason he put all this Greek stuff was to explain to you that whatever's in red that I can't read is explaining to you how the Egyptians were the first ones to have these condoms. And if I remember correctly, the condoms they had were wooden. So they didn't have plastic condoms, they had wooden condoms, right? Which was probably painful. But there was such sexually immoral things going on, right? And they started having diseases and stuff like that. The plagues of Egypt, as the Most High mentions in the scriptures, right? Those type of things were happening. They had a form of HIV, AIDS, all that type of stuff, gonorrhea, everything like that, right? Like we have now, and it was probably worse. So them with their prehistoric form of science, even found out they needed to create condoms, and the type of condoms they created were wooden, which is where the Greeks got the concept from. So once again, the Greeks took something from the Egyptians, right? Esau's a thief. You understand me? He don't make nothing himself. Every idea he has was taken from somebody else. The whole concept of America is Egypt. This is spiritual Egypt, Sodom and Gomorrah, right? In Egypt, Sodom and Gomorrah is right here in front of your face, right? The real one in the flesh. So that's just a little history lesson on Egypt, right? Just so we know what we're looking at, so we know what we're getting into. Now that you have a full understanding, right, of the type of stuff that was going on back then in that place, right, that we supposed to come from, so to speak. So let's move on.
Terminology that we use, because a lot of us are using cast off terminology that has nothing to do with the.
So why is it that black folk is trying, like, why do we call ourselves black? You know what I'm saying? Why do the Afrocentrists and everything like that, even though they have a consonant they could call themselves after, why are they cool calling themselves black? I always wanted to know this, right? And it wasn't until I took African American studies that the teachers were able to connect the dots. Since they're the ones that have, calling themselves African, and they got all these different African continents they could say they from and stuff like that, all these different not African continents, but African countries they could say they're from, but instead they continue to call themselves African American and black. He's about to explain to you why. It's all because of an Egyptian, right? It's all because of an Egyptian. And you see all these pictures he's got in Egypt, right? Because he went. He said he goes like every year or something like that for the last 15 years. So brothers won't go to Israel, which is right down the street from where he at, but they'll take 150 trips to Egypt and won't teach nothing about none of that stuff I just showed you, right? So check this out.
Now, this is from the 6th dynasty. They have an African queen and a female.
Actually, I'm gonna rewind it. He's gonna say something about this guy first.
Which denotes discovery. And it's applicable even now because we are, in a sense, a new era of discovery. We're discovering ourselves. This is limestone. This is a.
So he's trying to show you here, this is a black image. He basically told them this is a black person, right? That these people were drawing themselves black because it was not just because they were black people, but it's to give them a sense of pride of being black. And the darker that the image is, the more important the person was. So they are trying to stick to the narrative of calling us black to make it seem like we're all these important people, instead of just giving us the title Israelite, which is the phrase and the name and the title given to the most important people on the face of the earth, right? But let's listen to what he says. He's basically going to explain.
They have an African queen and a female aspect of God, aka goddess. This one is important because it's the first image that I know of in the history of Kemet where you see a pharaoh, a king, painted black. Now, these are black people we're talking about. This is Africa. These are black people that we're talking about. But black is also symbolic. What did it symbolize? In ancient Egypt, black symbolized deification. It symbolized divinity. In other words, black was the color of God. And every now and then
So look, the significance of him saying that, he's trying to get everybody in the room, that's grown or young. He's giving them the false narrative that the only place in the world that God was black is Egypt. Right? He's telling you the only place in the world God was black was Egypt. But Abraham was a black man. Abraham's from Mesopotamia. And Abraham followed the same God that the Israelites followed. And that God says he's black in the Bible right now in 2021. Daniel chapter 7. Right? His son is described as a black man in Daniel chapter 10 and Revelations chapter 1 in 2021 right now. So I just want to put that out there too. But now y'all know where they get this notion from and why they're continuing to push it. Don't matter how many times we catch them on the street. Why are you calling yourself black? Black is the color of the crayon box. Are you the same color as your shirt? Right? Don't matter how many times we say that. It don't matter. Y'all can't even see the damn picture. Why y'all ain't tell me that?
I thought you was doing it on purpose for copyright, purposes.
You see this ugly dude right here? Huh? They said that this is the first image of a black king on the planet that he knows of. That's what he said. But Abraham older than this dude. They say Adam's from the dust of the ground. Adam ran the whole earth. But there's no image of God that's black before this dude in Kemet. That's what this nigga just said. Right? So these same Afrocentrics would tell you everybody was black. We was black all over the world. Black is the first everything. We the original, the aboriginal, right? Aboriginal, the first man, first origin, right? All the other stuff they be doing, right? But this dude like a Moor. But aside from that, what happens? Everything that they tell you as far as the Afrocentricity stops and starts with this guy who comes from Kemet. So this dude is the spread of all the blackness around the world. That's what they're trying to tell us. So even their concept of how their culture got spread everywhere don't even make sense. Because Egypt isn't the first civilization, but they claim it's the first civilization where God is seen black, but black people were the first people everywhere. Does that make sense? So black people didn't have a God till Egypt? That's basically what they're saying, is what it sounds like, right? So let's move on.
You will see a pharaoh, a king, and sometimes a queen mother painted black. That means they were highly significant. This one is 4,000 years old. His name is Nepepegra Mentotep.
So they're highly significant if they're painted black. So this dude wasn't highly significant. All these other pharaohs that he's showing us wasn't highly significant, right? I would think they painted that dude black just because he was dark as hell. He was probably Somali. Because this is a pharaoh. He's not black, but I'm sure he was significant because he's painted, right? Look, this lady ain't black. She's significant, right? Even the stuff they say about their own people and the scholarship that they do don't make no damn sense. It don't make sense. So I'm gonna play this last part from him, and then we're gonna move to the young butthole, young Pharaoh. All right, I think it's right here.
Brother is supposed to have conquered all the way to the Caucasus Mountains and left an army there. Look at this one. Now this is my favorite king, and this boy we got folk came out today.
He's not super black. He must not be significant.
There was something going on here. You came for a lecture? Really? Who says black people aren't interested in their history? Right. We should destroy that myth. And you know what?
Listen to what he says here. He said, "Who says black people aren't interested in their history? Right? We should destroy that myth, huh?"
I think this is the key. We can tap into Everybody wants to be proud of themselves. Everybody wants to feel like they came from something. Somebody, am I wrong? I don't care how wealthy you are, how poor you are. Everybody wants to be able to poke their chest out and lift their head up and say, I'm proud of who I am and where I come from. And this is we talk about black people need to unite. That's the basis of unity. Not just oppression, but history.
Do you see what he said? Does everybody see what he just said? Did y'all hear that? He just said, all these black people that's trying to be Egyptian, man, we just looking for something because we don't know where the hell we come from, bruh. We don't know squat about ourselves, man. And we just looking for something. We want to poke ourselves out because we know we from somewhere that's great, but we don't know where. It gotta be Egypt because they black. We want to poke ourselves out because we great too. If only the nigga knew that he's from the people of Israel. The folks who the white man right now is trying to claim to have control over the whole earth. The white man didn't claim to be the Egyptian to take control of the whole earth. He'd been an Egyptian since damn Alexander the Greek. He didn't have control of the whole earth yet. Until when? Till he became us. Right? The white man been an Egyptian since Ptolemy was there. It's a whole place called Alexandria, Egypt. Right? The man who established Alexandria, Egypt, died in 333 BC. That's how long the white man been in Egypt. So they actually can say they're Egyptian because they've been there longer than any claiming Egypt have been. Y'all left with Moses, remember? So what I'm trying to say is this. He just admitted that they're all Egyptologists and stuff like that. The Moors, you know what I'm saying? Even black Buddhists, right? Everybody that's not an Israelite is trying to attach themselves onto something because they don't know where they come from. They know they're from somewhere great, but they don't know where that place is. And the one thing that's going to unify everybody is the truth about our history. That's what he said. So let's play I was going to call him something else. Let's play Young Pharaoh, and I don't like that, brother. So let's play Young Pharaoh, and then we're gonna debunk everything that was said here, right? And actually teach our history, since that's the one thing that's gonna band us together, right? Where does the Negro come from? So just listen carefully, right? Y'all know we ain't supposed to be with that Egyptology, sexually immoral stuff, right? You can't speak about Pluto and the Greek freaks without mentioning their spiritual fathers, right? The Egyptians. Because that's what they is, the spiritual fathers, right? So, all right, young asshole. Golly.
I mean, they're gonna see when they hear what he say.
Hey, I wanna, because Most High must be not letting this thing pop up on purpose. So
I already got it.
Okay.
Where you want to start at?
Why is it my computer doing that though? Hold up now.
It depends on where you want to start. Cause this whole one day we want to.
Here it is. All right. So look, there's a little bit of cussing in this video. Okay. I ain't gonna play nothing but probably 5 minutes. I just want y'all to hear what he gonna say. His terrible breakdown of who Jesus Christ is, right? Because he's got this breakdown of how the white man made Jesus the white man, right? Only his breakdown starts with the white man being the one to create the story of Hamashiach Yahushua, who they call Jesus Christ, right? So it's not a black story at the forefront, which most Egyptologists, right, or most African American studies teachers, most people studied in Africa and the Levant region, right? They will be honest with you and tell you that they know from history research that the story of the Exodus is in fact real. and that Jesus was in fact a man that walked the earth, because all of them niggas believe in Josephus, and Josephus says something about him, right? And the fact that Hamashiach Yahushua is black in the Bible, they'll tell you that he was really a black man. I had a teacher even go as far as to say the whole class, and I have witnesses that are in the truth now that could testify to this, that I had a teacher that could tell that actually stood in front of the class and told the whole class that Jesus didn't walk around with a cross, but he wore the ankh, because they know he was black. So to add blackness to him, they're teaching Jesus wear the ankh. Dr. Shannon said that, the head of Georgia State University's African American History Department. Yes, she did. I was there. So look, this is what they teach us, right? So we have to get, let's get to the bottom of it, right? For the people that have the opposing argument that Yahushua is fake, the Bible's the white man book, a lot of them get their information from this little nigga right here, right? He's a Detroit native. He says the word car weird. Sometimes he might talk like me a little bit. But but I don't like this brother, and he's a disgrace to the Israelite nation, right? And even the Egyptologists, because the stuff he says don't make no damn sense. So without further ado, let's get into the young fool. All right. Yes.
To be without blame before him and in love.
Oh man, he already sound like he going off. Okay. I want to start. Man, he went over Adam and Eve.
You want to start around 15:30?
Huh?
You want to start? I said I think you might want to start around like 15:30.
Oh, so you want them to hear that thing he said?
That's what you asked for, so I found it.
All right, I'm gonna play it.
And then he never actually said it. Like he never explained it. He just
yeah. He never explained it. He just said it, right? So look, after what we just seen, he's called the Young Pharaoh. So you know what he believe in, right? You know where he think we come from, right? He's lost many debates, but he's still a young Pharaoh. So we gonna give him his just due. We just read and saw what we saw about Egypt. So keep this in mind. Hold up.
We'll expand that. Right. There we go.
Sin is what separates us from God. Now, what is sin? Anything opposite of God's law. Okay, so how are you born in sin?
He knows sin is anything opposite of God's law, but he doesn't believe that because it comes from the white man in his brain, right? The Egyptians don't have any laws that stop you from so-called sinning, right? They have the laws of Ma'at, which you really don't observe until after you dead. Okay.
Well, you haven't even done anything. What has a newborn child done?
So he's asking us how we're born into sin, because what has a newborn child done? Because he doesn't, all the science that he teaches, he doesn't understand the concept of regeneration, right? He doesn't understand the concept of the soul not being able to die, even though that's a concept of Ma'at, right? So even concepts from his own studies and his own knowledge and his own, his own concept and his way of thinking as far as Egyptology is concerned, he don't even understand that, because they teach a form of regeneration. They have people who go into the tombs to die with their freaking pharaoh to serve him in the afterlife, nigga. Right? So how is that not regeneration? They think they're gonna come back as the same person serving the same dude after they got wrapped up alive.
That could be considered a sin.
And he's asking how a baby could sin, or how they could be born into sin. How can anybody be born into sin? He don't realize what America is, because he don't realize what Egypt was.
Out the womb, you can't even talk. How you gonna be cursed and you can't even motherfucking curse yet? Huh?
Again, sorry for the language, because he gonna do that a lot, and we only gonna play 5 minutes. But he from Michigan, so
How you gonna be evil and you have no knowledge or concept of what evil is? You don't even know what death is. You don't even know what fire is, let alone the concept of going to hell. So how can you be born in sin when you have no concept?
See, the concept of hell to him is still all based off Greek mythology. You know, that Hades stuff, fire. He didn't even do the real research to find out about the stuff he's talking about. Right? This is what so many people in our community, from the African American standpoint, the Afrocentric standpoint, the Egyptologist standpoint, they all run with this same basis in this way of thinking. I'm gonna only debunk what I heard about the Bible instead of what I know about the Bible.
Salaki. And that shows that he picks and chooses where he wants to get his information from, right?
Because it's only stuff he can freaking talk about. He don't know nothing about the Bible, so he can't say stuff about the Bible. He can't quote nothing because he know you're gonna break it down incorrectly. So he can only speak about shit he heard other people talk about. So like,
no, you're good. Watch this, because he said that sin is a transgression of the law. Esau don't teach that, but then he wants to turn around and say, talks about the Greco-Roman idea of hell, which is hellfire. He picks and chooses what he wants to talk about.
So what that tell you, right? He watched some Hebrew Israelite videos before he watched the thing, and then he kept his same concept of Christianity that his grandma taught him, and he put the two and two together, which is what every single African American studies person does.
I don't want, because if he would have, if y'all go back and watch this video that this dude did from the beginning, if he watched Hebrew Israelites the whole time on their Adam and Eve breakdowns, this video wouldn't exist. It wouldn't exist. He picks and chooses.
Huh. So I don't even want to hear this part no more. We're gonna fast forward to this other part.
You sure?
Right. Yeah, cause I don't even want to. He gonna make me mad. I'm gonna be cussing like a sailor in a minute.
Yeah, he wilded out. Y'all gotta go watch that though. He wilded out what he said.
Nah, don't watch it. Don't get him no more views. This stupid movie.
Oh yeah, you right. I think that's the only reason he keeps doing this if he lost all them debates.
Huh?
I think this is the only reason he keeps doing this when he watch all these debates, because he got over 500,000 subscribers. That's his income.
There's 500,000 dumb butts out there, bro. It's 500,000 black people that think they pharaohs, bro.
In slavery.
And they don't even know nothing about the Bible. They're talking about the Bible, talking down the Bible, saying it's the white man's book, but don't know nothing about the Bible. What white man gonna draw Jesus as a black man, but then hate black people? Why not just keep him white? Why not write that he's white in the Bible?
That would be easy enough.
Why even leave it up for speculation? It don't make sense, right? But then again, these people aren't going to think like that. Their brain isn't going to be on that wavelength. Why? Because they naturally don't want to accept nothing coming from the Bible. They naturally want to sit in a spot, right? In a same old little place and do what they do and not actually get any extra research, any extra knowledge on the Bible so that they could teach truth and facts. They want to teach what they heard. And what they heard is sufficient because everything they heard is against the Bible, right? So to find something that makes the Bible true will go against their narrative, right? If he finds one thing that makes the Bible true, he has to teach it. And if he teaches that thing, it's going to automatically contradict everything else he said about Egypt, which means he's not an Egyptian. He's not a young Pharaoh, right? He's a young Hebrew. He don't want to be that. He built this whole following. He got 500,000 subscribers, like you said, right?
Yep.
I got 5,000. I'm about to sound like I got 5,000 people that like me, man. That want to hear my talk. That want to hear my voice, right?
Yeah.
You stupid. No, but so he got all these people that's like behind him and stuff like that, and it's the same thing with every other person that has any type of accolades in the African American Studies department. If they get to the point where they have a following, when you show them any type of proof that the stuff they teaching is wrong, they just gonna ignore it because it doesn't fit the narrative of what they teach. It's against their best interest now to be a Hebrew Israelite. You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
And it's all because they got so engrossed into the lies. Who'd the lies come from? Esau. Esau allowed you to find the lies. He put the lies out there first so that so many of our people would be stuck into the Egyptology that once this Hebrew Israelite stuff come out, they're going to naturally fight it because Egypt is supposed to be black, right? And the Bible is supposed to be white, right? So if you just left that lifestyle, you're going to want to go into that. We all did it. Everybody who left Christianity, you went to something. If the Hebrew Israelites wasn't the first thing you heard of, you went to something else first. If you was old, you became a Black Panther, or, you know, a Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you wasn't with the Muslims and you was a Black Panther, you became a damn Moor or one of them gods and earths niggas, right?
Mm-hmm.
360 degrees of knowledge, right? So you became one of them brothers, or if you now in this time, it's like now, late 90s, you was an Asiatic, right? Brothers found out about the Hyksos. Oh, we Asiatic black man, right? And now they on Egypt. And the brothers that hopped off Egypt, oh, because the DNA test came out, we don't have any speck of Egyptian DNA. Now we're West African. We need to go back to Africa. You know, Marcus Garvey. That's what he was trying to do. He was trying to go back to Africa. He just wanted to stay in West Africa because he found out we're not Egyptian. No. Marcus Garvey was working with Israelites. He was trying to do the same thing that Ben Ami did. Pick up people from West Africa so they get a big amount of them to go to Israel. Take over the land. Take the Garden of Eden back. That's what he was trying to do. Right? So these people, they make up these narratives because the stuff that we teach is naturally going against what they teach. If we right, they got to stop teaching what they're teaching. If they accept what we teaching and they start seeing accepting what we teaching, they have to stop teaching what they teach. So a lot of them not gonna wake up, right? But this is for the video for the people that's on the fence that realize, you know, that stuff we're hearing about the Egyptologists don't make no sense. You know, you a straight brother and your spirit don't coincide with homosexuality, but everything Egyptian is homosexuality, right? So yeah, that's the type of stuff you got to deal with. It's a lot of brothers I know that's having that fight right now, right? I just seen a bunch of phallics on Jeb's wall, right? And I'm supposed to, somebody ate some lettuce with, you know what I'm saying? Yo, so back to Young Pharaoh. All right, let's hear what he's gonna say about Hamashiach Yahushua.
Is God, are you separate?
Yeah, are you separate?
Bombs, and then when the bombs go off,
man, his voice is just crazy.
Yeah. Now listen to the story again. They say the Father and the Son are one, and I'm gonna show you in the next slide. But let me break this shit down, right? Let me give y'all the story. The Ptolemies came into Egypt, right, during about 3rd century BC, aka before Christ, aka before they created motherfucking Christianity. Now, the Ptolemies, this is Ptolemy the first. He took Osiris in the Apis. No, first he took Osiris in the.
Again, Salakia for his language. I can't do nothing about it. We almost finished with this little clip. I just want y'all to hear him break this down so I can show you what the Bible says about Mashiach Yahushua, and then we're going to get into the history about where we come from so that we can debunk the Egyptian thing, right?
Apis bull, Apis bull in Egypt, and he created the Osiris deity, right? And he forced the black Egyptians, okay, to worship this deity. And this deity eventually evolved and became Serapis, okay? And what happened was this deity, as you can see right here, Osiris, all right, was manifested and made physical 751 years later after its creation at the Council of Ephesus, which I'm going to go into. And you can thank Walter Williams for this research. Now, with that being said...
Wait. Hey, young Negro, hold up. He said you could thank who for this research? Walter Williams or something?
Walter Williams or somebody like that.
Walter Edomite, Walter Caucasian, Walter White Man. That's what he said basically, right? Walter Greek, Walter Roman, right? all that Greek Roman stuff, the Greeks are freaks and they steal the culture and all that. You getting all your research from a cracker? So the white man told him that Ptolemy is Jesus and Osirapidus is his daddy as a god, like Osiris and Arapidus, some Latin thingy, and then he made himself a god, a horse and a man, or something like that. I don't, a centaur, or something like that, right? I don't know. And then now he's a god, and Osirapidus became Osiris, which became Zeus, and then Ptolemy became Jesus Christ, right? And that's the Father and the Son are one, and the Holy Spirit is the you Christ or your Christ or whatever that is right there, right? And he's telling you that. So once the Greeks basically pushed their culture onto everybody, right? The Africans came up with Black Yeshua, right? The Ishmaelites came up with Isa, and then they had the original Jesus. That's what he's breaking this down as, so that y'all ain't gotta watch the whole thing, right? It don't make no damn sense. But this is the breakdown that you get when you don't know the Bible and you don't know history and you're trying to piece pictures or piece things together based off one cracker's history research. And the crackers don't know the Bible either. Many of them don't know their history research. If I go ask the average white guy on the street, hey, did you know that the Negros were the Israelites? He's going to say, right? Because he don't know what I'm talking about. But you're going to go to Walter Williams for your research? Y'all can thank Walter Williams for this research. That's what he said, right?
This is Ptolemy the First. He took Osiris in the Apis. No, first he took Osiris in the Apis bull in Egypt, and he created the Osirapis deity, right? And he physical 751 years later after his creation at the which will be Ptolemy the Third, created what you would call the first church, because you had Serapis, which was a deity that was being forced within the consciousness, into the consciousness of the Egyptians go to worship this deity. And so Ptolemy's grandson, which would be Ptolemy III, created the Dionysian temple and the Serapeum temple, which were places of worship for this bullshit ass, ugly ass image that you see.
Now, with all the things I've taught you guys on Milk Monday, what's one thing that we know about the Greeks and the Romans? That they were pagans, right? So what this Negro don't realize, right? I'm starting to feel like ASAP. I know why he be feeling like that. But this brother right here, I feel him now. I feel you, bro. All right, look. So this brother right here, he basically has created this notion, this whole story in his brain about what happened, right, at these councils and stuff, and he's basically implanting stuff that's irrelevant to the whole Israelite history. He's talking about all these different temples and stuff and gods for Osirapidus and all that stuff, right? Not realizing that all of that stuff he's mentioning is paganism, has nothing to do with the Bible. Osirapidus is not in the scriptures at all, right? So what you have to realize is that the Romans, the Greeks, right, they incorporated a form of paganism with the Bible, right? We spoke about this when we talked about the Council of Nicaea. That was one of the things they spoke about, the implanting of paganism, right? So if you didn't see that, go back and watch that video. He's not realizing that that's all he's explaining here, the implant of paganism. Little brother froze, and then, damn, how you do that? That's amazing. You still on the screen, bro. Look at your face. You look pissed off. Yeah. Look at that man. Oh, you can't even see him. All right. I'm gonna leave you right there. You lucky. Because I was from the show to you. All right. So anyway, the brother, like, you know what I'm saying? The stuff he's saying though don't make no sense, basically, because he's literally implanting a lie regarding the history of Hamashiach Yahushua, right? So that being said, let's get into the scripts. First, we're gonna debunk this, and then we're gonna get into history. So let's just get the Wisdom of Solomon 14 started at 15, right? This is what the biblical account is to how the white man became Hamashiach Yahushua, right? How they turned Hamashiach Yahushua into Jesus Christ, right? How Hamashiach went from this dude, right, on the left, and then became this guy over here, right? White Jesus. You understand me? Now this guy in the middle, the Isa dude, he don't exist for real. This is what woke me up. I saw when they made this image live on the History Channel. I was watching that episode of whatever that special they was doing on Jesus, and they remade him, and I was like, damn, Jesus looked like DJ Khaled. And I did the research, and that's when I kind of like fell into the Hebrew Israelite stuff. So, you know, this is basically though, this is the lies that they come up with. If I didn't have the brain to look into that, if the Most High didn't put the spirit on me to do that research that one day, I would have been an Egyptologist probably. Not, I would have been a Moor, because Egyptology thing wasn't really messing with me, but the Moors still deal with a form of Egyptology. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, Wisdom of Solomon 14:15. Let's get it.
Con, like this the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 15. For a father afflicted with untimely mourning, when he had made an image of his son, soon taken away, now honor him as a god, when was then a dead man, and delivered to those that were under him ceremonies and sacrifices.
You see that? So this is the actual biblical account of how the so-called Edomites, the white men, the devil that the Bible speak of, the Caucasians, whatever you want to call them, right? The Romans, the Greeks, the freaks, the Americans, right? The British people, whatever you want to call them. These folks are the ones who made the image of Hamashiach Yahushua go from a so-called melanated black man to, you know, the pink dude. So what we have to understand is that these scriptures that we're bringing out, this exact story right here is the story that this man was trying to explain using Ptolemy and Serapis, right? Ptolemy has nothing to do with this. Ptolemy is he wasn't even a godlike figure. He got destroyed by Antiochus. Antiochus would have been somebody that was a better pick to be the son Jesus, right? Because Ptolemy is in the Bible running from Antiochus. What does that look like? Why would they make him Jesus if that was true, right? He's in the book that they wrote. If they wrote the Bible, he's in the Apocrypha that they wrote, running from a regular king, and he's supposed to be the son one with God, right? It don't make no sense. Ptolemy was just a regular old soft general from Alexander, right? And, you know, that's just how they go. So it tells you straight up, a father afflicted with untimely mourning, when his son was taken away, he basically made an image of him, right? Made an image of a dead man and forced all the people to worship him. Keep reading. 16.
Con, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 16. Thus in process of time, an ungodly custom grown strong was kept as a law, and graven images were worshipped by the commandments of kings.
And this is the main thing that has our people deceived when it comes to the Bible and our scriptures on history. It's not even the fact that the history doesn't line up. It's the fact that they don't want to believe the history, because the Savior in the book, the man who the whole book revolves around, who it ends up being about at the end of the day, in their mind is a white guy. Which, when you're trying to bring yourself to some type of identity, like the African American Studies teacher said, right? Black folks are looking for something that they could cling on to because they don't have a form of God that they could put in their minds. In their brain, they don't have a form of God to connect themselves to. That makes you feel like less of a person, because every time you look up, you got to look at somebody else to be your God. So he said they're trying to cling on to something that's going to give them power. They're going to cling on to something that's going to allow them to poke their chest out that they could be happy about. So they're choosing Egypt because it's the only black civilization that they know about that had some type of power. Right? They don't know about Timbuktu and Mansa Musa and them people, right? Even though half of these people know that he's the most richest man on the planet, but they don't want to do any research about the civilization he was a part of in West Africa, where they claim to be from, right? But they'll put more reference into Egypt because there's history that will tell you that Mansa Musa comes from Israel, right? Plus, he became a Muslim. And a lot of them don't want to go into Islam. So that's something that you got to realize right there. Right? So with that, let's get into some history. Biblically, right? So we got to get the milk. This is Milk Monday, Jeremiah 17:4.
Con is
And
book.
you could get Hosea 3:4. All right.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thy inheritance that I gave thee.
Right. And this video right here should make it very clear that that's exactly what's happening. Because even the teacher told you he's teaching a class trying to give people their identity back, and he's telling them, I don't really know where we come from. We're trying to cleave on to something. We're trying to find something to cleave onto that's going to make us feel good about ourselves. But in actuality, we don't know where we come from. That's why they're so happy saying the word black, because there's so many things they could attach themselves to under the banner of black. You realize that? You can attach yourself to anything, whether they're your people or not. As long as it was good, you're going to attach yourself to it because you have nothing to attach yourself to. You have no self-identity, right? You have no heritage, no culture. But why is that? Is it just because the white man took it from you? No. The Bible said it was going to happen. The book that has your full history in it from front to back, beginning to end, right? This is the book where you're going to get your history from. It said you lost your history, so now you got to get it back, right? It said you would discontinue from your heritage that the Most High gave you. So now it's time to return to that history, right? Before I read that, let me get... No, in fact, that's fine. Hosea 3:4.
This is the book of Hosea, chapter 3 and verse 4. For the children of Israel should abide many days without a king, and without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without a teraphim.
Keep going.
Afterward shall the children of Israel return and seek Yahweh their power, and David their king, and shall fear Yahweh in his goodness in the latter days.
Right? During the latter days, we're supposed to remember ourselves, right? Pursuing Baruch chapter 2, verse 30, right? Though they are stiff-necked people in the land of their captivity, they shall remember themselves, right?
That's right.
That's in the latter days. So we're not supposed to be remembering false narratives and false stories about ourselves, right? We're not supposed to be likening ourselves to the Egyptians, huh? Here's what the Bible says about us in Egypt, right? It's the book of, what am I looking for? Exodus 11:7. Is that what I want? Yeah, it is. All right, look, this is the book of Exodus. I want to read this. I want to read this. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 11, verse 7. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, right? That ye may know how Yahweh does put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel, right? You see the fire? Flame. You see that? So look, the Most High is telling you in so many words that there's going to be similarities between the Egyptians and Israelites, right? Y'all are going to be on a connected landmass, right? The man who gave you your laws lived as an Egyptian for a long time, right? One of our uncles was a prized man in Egypt for a long time. Joseph became a vizier, right? So we have connections to these people. We have connections to these people. That's something that we can't deny. The Bible even says in the book of Deuteronomy 23, you know, that we even supposed to treat the Egyptians a certain way because we were a stranger in their land. At that point, right? It wasn't forever, obviously, because they a dog, and there's a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. So this is what needs to be understood. This would need to be taught right here, right? Everybody's skin to you ain't kin to you. We can't latch on to everything black because black ain't fat. We are Israelites, right? not Egyptians. If you did a DNA test, you wouldn't go back to Egypt.
It's facts.
A lot of you wouldn't go back to Africa. That's why you got so many skewed answers. Some of y'all take a DNA test from 23andMe and then a DNA test from Ancestry.com and don't even get the same results. I've seen it. Right? Yeah, they say Imhotep was Joseph. I had some research to prove that, but it's not there no more. So I'm looking for it now. I'm gonna teach y'all about the Hyksos in about 2 weeks. When I get it, I'm gonna do it. But yeah, I believe that as well. That Imhotep was Joseph. Yeah. So, but I'm gonna teach a Hyksos lesson. I just didn't want to do it tonight. We're gonna get that too, because it's gonna be no stone left unturned, right? But moving on. Let's get the book of Job 8:8, right? This is some milk we don't bring out that much. If we lost our heritage, we're supposed to return to the Most High in the latter days. In the land of our captivity, we shall remember ourselves. What's the first thing that we should be doing? Taking a DNA test, Ancestry.com, 23andMe? Listening to Young Butt? You supposed to be listening to these people? Jabari Saza, Sarah Suit and Seti Super Spaghetti? Huh? Job 8:8. Who got that?
Con. Hey, this is the book of Job, chapter 8 and verse 8. For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to search of thy fathers.
Mm-hmm. We're supposed to prepare ourselves for the search of our fathers. Right? Go ahead, read the rest, I guess.
Come, for we are but Salaki, for we are but of yesterday and know nothing, because our days upon the earth are a shadow.
You see that? So you don't remember nothing from the past. Most thing, the best thing you could do is try to get the history research, right? If you don't know your pops ain't in your life, then do what type of history you can. Don't just rely on a DNA test. And then if you do rely on a DNA test, it don't say Egypt anyway. So what you going there for? Right? So, I mean, just do the research to find out what type of traditions the people in West Africa have, since you want to go back there, right? You know why a lot of these African American studies people can't link the traditions to Israel and West Africa together? Because they haven't looked in to see what the traditions of West Africa are. They haven't looked to see how deep the traditions of the people of West Africa go and where they actually say their traditions come from. They just stopped at West Africa. They stopped at 1619, just like Esau. They kicked you out. Yeah. So, but you see, even those African American studies people, they stop at 1619. They have the ability to go farther like we did, and they decide not to because they don't want to. They don't want to know where we were before that. So we have to get back to, searching for our forefathers. And we have to instill it into our people to do the same thing. But that's the only thing that's going to get us back to this heritage, this knowledge. And like that teacher told you, once we can agree that we're a certain nationality, that's what's going to band us together. Right? And they went through these stages. We're Black Panthers, you know what I'm saying? We're all Christians. That didn't work. Let's be Muslims. No, I don't want to be a Muslim. Them niggas blowing up buildings. Okay, well, let's be Africans, Afrocentric. We American descendants of slaves. We looking to be any goddamn thing except for Israelites. But the main reason is because nobody's trying to go further than 1619, man. Right? Galatians chapter 4, verse 3. Give me that.
This is the book of Galatians chapter 4, verse 3.
Colossians chapter 2 and 20. Go ahead, Judah.
This is the book of Galatians chapter 4, verse 3. Even so we, when we were children, were in bondage under the elements of the world.
You see that? So even we, as children, we were in bondage under the elements of the world. We've been in bondage under Esau telling us every February, hey, you're African American, you're Black. We picked you guys up at 16, 19, and you know, we just paid you low wages, and now you get paid like everybody else, right? We were under the rudiments of the world. We had to listen to whatever things they told us. Whatever they taught us, we had to adhere to because we didn't know what was right, what was wrong. We didn't know there was another way because they didn't give us the option to find out there was another way. You had to get to a certain age to be able to do the research for yourself. If you even had the audacity to think that there was something you didn't know about yourself already, right? Because they want you to think you know everything about yourself by the time you get to 12th grade. So you don't need to do no research. You just need to get yourself a good job, right? They don't want us to find out who we are for real. Go ahead.
Verse 4. But when the fullness of the time was come, Yahweh sent forth his son.
Oh, that's all I want. Salat. But yeah, we've been under the bondage of the rudiment, like the elements of the world, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's literally been bondage because we lost our heritage and they're stopping us from being able to go find out what it is. They're stopping us from wanting to go find out what it is because they're making us think, they're giving us the false narrative that they're teaching us everything we need to know about ourselves in school. The kids go to school, they go to get a degree in African American studies. They think they're learning everything about themselves, and the teachers are only teaching them about West Africa 1619. They take them to West Africa over the summer and don't even take them to any of the Israelite villages so they can see what the real traditions are. They take them to the tourist spots, the tourist attractions, where Esau gonna be at, where Moab gonna be at, where Ishmael gonna be at, right? You're not even getting to see your real people over there in them places when you go with these teachers who are supposed to be teaching you your heritage and your history because it's not in their job description to do that. You have to go and, you know, study to show thyself approved. You have to go and embark on that search for the history of your forefathers. It's got to be you. You can't rely on somebody else to do it, right? When you rely on somebody else to do it, you get what Young Pharaoh just did, right? And you start thinking Walter Williams like he did in the video. You start being cool with talking down the white man's research, but then using it in the same videos you talking against him, right? He's telling you the white man stole everything. He just steals, kills, and destroys. But then everything that I'm telling you guys in this video come from Walter Williams, a white man. What sense does that make? Right? But the stupidity of that action that he's making right there and the research that he's using for this video, right, don't even make sense. It's because he didn't go far enough. He thinks he's debunking a white man's book with white man's research. And he's sadly mistaken, right? Even white folks say that the book is a black man's book. So, moving on. Yeah, Colossians 2:20. Let's get that.
This is the book of Colossians, chapter 2 and verse 20. Wherefore, if ye be dead with Hamashiach from the rudiments of the world, why, as though living in the world, are ye subject to ordinance?
You see that? Read it again.
Colossians chapter 2 and verse 20. Wherefore, if ye be dead with Hamashiach from the rudiments of the world, why, as though living in the world, are ye subject to ordinance?
So if you dead, right, with Hamashiach Yahushua, why are you still being subject to them telling you that you're African American?
That's right.
All these Christians out there, right? You'd actually be better off when we ask you the question on the street, hey, what's your nationality? I'd rather you say Christian than black or African American. You know what I'm saying? Because then it say you know you're thinking about something else. You might understand that black or African American don't make no damn sense. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of them don't. Read the next verse.
Book of Colossians chapter 2 and verse 21. Touch not, taste not, handle not.
Come on.
Which all are to perish with the using after the commandments and doctrines of men.
Right? And basically everything that you're calling yourself is going to perish. Everything that you're doing here is going to perish because they're the commandments and doctrines of men. Most High didn't tell you he was African American. He didn't say he was black. He said that the Edomites called you black. They called people like Barnabas and Peter that, right? But he didn't say that we're actually black. He said we're the Israelites. We're the people he chose to be separate unto himself above all people upon the face of the earth. We're the people who he chose to give the law, statutes, and commandments to, the glory of God, the service of God, right? The promises. We got all of that. Why are you trying to be anything other than that? What's the point? Right? I don't get it. This is Isaiah chapter 29, verse 16. I'll read that. Because this is what's happened, right? Isaiah 29 and 16 says, surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. Right? The turning of things upside down should be esteemed as the potter's clay. The Most High is the potter, right? He's turned everything upside down. He's flipped the switch on us. We went from being the head, and now we're the tail. Esau is running the country, the basis of all men, right? Job spoke about it. These dudes were the children of fools. Now we're their song. Now they calling us names. They're making bywords about us. They're teaching us that we were slaves at one point in history. And 5 years after that, the same kids that learned that they were slaves in school, their little brothers and sisters are being taught that we was being, raised up for small wages, and we was just calling the white man master because he was a good boss. You know what I'm saying? Like, just a 5-year span, bro. I was in high school 7 years ago. Right? 5 years ago, they were still teaching that we was in hardcore bondage. They was playing that Martin Luther King movie where he showed you the flashbacks of Rosa Parks getting beat up on the bus and all that stuff. They don't show that movie no more. You know that?
Right.
So they're not trying to give you a full outlook and a full aspect of the history and the trials and tribulations that your people went through, because that might make you do research, right? You're realizing people getting killed on the streets now, still as they were before, but they're not showing it on, like on the television as much as they were before. You realize at one point, every time somebody got killed on the street, they would show it on TV. And then they realized, wait, hold on. These niggas is connecting it to Zechariah 11 and 5. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Cut it.
It's making them wake up. We need to stop showing this mess on TV. And that's what they did. Esau is playing tonight. Esau keep kicking my boys out. But look, that's what they're doing, right? They're constantly trying to do anything to distract you from being able to do proper research to find out where you and your people come from. And that's what we have to realize. We have to see past that, see through that, and teach your children the right way, man. Because they turn things upside down. It's going to be esteemed as the potter's clay. The Most High meant it to be like this, right? And then he said, you're going to have to study to show yourself to prove. You're going to have to have faith. You're going to have to do the research. You're going to have to search for the history of your forefathers. He's telling you, you're going to have to do the work to find out who you really are. He's not going to just give the information to you. He want to know who really want to find out for themselves. Who wants to know if they're really a king on the planet? Or are you just going to say that junk to do when you walk down the street? What's up, king? Did you do the research to find out you was a king for real? Or you just saying that because you heard Priest Daniela say it on a damn video when he was going against Sinetta?
It just sound cool.
Right? That's what I'm saying. So it's like the black guy said in the video, right? The sister's using the platonic word and stuff and don't really know what it means. We do that with a lot of stuff. We do things and don't really know what it means.
That's right.
We claim things and don't really know what it means, just like Egyptology. I'm sure Young Pharaoh, with all I've heard about him, in his regard for gay people, how he don't like them. I'm sure that if he knew that they was collecting phallics, the gods of Egypt were doing this stuff. The gods were collecting phallic. How can a god collect a phallic, by the way? But anyway, the gods were doing this, right? I'm sure he wouldn't still be following that way of life if he knew that. But why don't he know that? Because he didn't do the research. they had to hear us say it first. And when it come from us, oh, that's just they got that from some dude that don't know what he's talking about. He probably said he got that from some white guy that don't know what he's talking about. The white guy said that. But where's all the information he's trying to give about the Bible coming from? A Hebrew Israelite? No, Walter Williams, a white guy. So let's get some more precepts, right? The turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. I'm gonna finish reading that. For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding? Right? Because that's basically what we're saying. That's what y'all say to the Most High. He giving you all these signs and wonders and stuff like that, proving you the Israelites. Get your brothers killed on TV. Get your brothers killed on Facebook Live, Instagram Live. Everywhere for you to see. Brothers getting their heads blown off in the streets, on the sidewalk, walking home from people's houses and stuff like that. Also, that something would strike a bell in your head, so you Google something to find out why this is happening. And Zechariah 11:5 pop up. A video of them Israelites on YouTube pop up to wake you and bring you up into the truth. Right? Man is going to serve the Lord, so how can a man understand his own way?
That's right.
The Most High is doing that type of stuff. But you're not allowing that stuff to work for you because you're like, well, you know, if we could just go back to Egypt, we'd be fine. We just go back to Africa, you know. Ghana got the year of return thing. We need to go to Ghana and just buy all the land. We could live in Ghana till the world ends. Not gonna be that easy, guys. It don't work like that. But look, how are some of the things that they turned upside down? Let's talk about that for a second, right? What did they turn upside down before we shut it down? Because we almost finished. We got the fake Jews, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with the videos going order, right? So we got Hamashiach Yahushua, right? We just went over Sirach, or no, not Sirach. We went over the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 15, right?
Right.
Where we can see how the image of the black man got turned into this white man, right? How the image of Hamashiach Yahushua got turned into Jesus Christ. Another precept to that is 1 Maccabees chapter 3 and 48, where it talks about the whitewashing in the iconoclasm, where the enemies seeking to paint themselves and liking their images, right? Open the book, sought to paint the likeness of themselves, right? Their images. So that's what's going on here. It's the same thing. And it's written in the Bible. For us to know what happened. But y'all ain't looking at the Bible. You're not believing that that's your history book. And the Most High gave it to you. Right? You asking the Most High why you made the Bible. It's the white man's book. And the Most High is like, I made the Bible because it's your book. Every answer you want is in this book right here, but you won't read it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You'd rather talk against the book without actually doing the research on the book to find out if what we're saying is right or not. Right? That's stupidity. Yeah, man. And then of course we got them being fake Jews, right? So it's just a lot of stuff that has to happen, man. And we got to get into the mindset of understanding. Only way we're going to really band together, only way we're going to really make the commitment to even have people look into this Israelite stuff on a broad scale is if they were to forget about the other things that they've learned. You got to come as a babe, like the scriptures say. And a lot of these folks ain't going to do that. That's the pure reason I believe that there's a 2/3.
Right.
Some people, pride. Exactly. Some people are so stuck into what they've learned that then that they really found what we were supposed to have, right? The white man gave us Christianity. The white man gave us the Bible. Then you find something else. You automatically think it's right.
I don't want. You remember what we went over some months ago when the woman black pastor said,
Yeah.
Thank God that the white man gave us Christianity, because if it wasn't for that and put us in slavery, because if it wasn't for that, I'll be worshiping a tree. That's what they really believe.
You see? Why she say that? Because she didn't do the research.
She a coon.
That's literally something she heard. She heard a white man say that we was in the jungle swinging like Tarzan from vine to vine.
Bones through our nose.
Bones to our nose, walking around naked, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was brown people doing that in Africa now, but it wasn't us.
That's right.
Hold on, Adawan. They say that. They say we was walking around naked and stuff, and say the white man saved us from that. But then they believe that Adam and Eve was walking around naked.
Folly.
That's a good point. So they don't even really like Adam and Eve, like Brett trying to tell you, because they walking around butt naked, but every picture you see Adam and Eve, they ain't got no clothes on.
Right.
That's what you should say now. When you see an ignorant white person, just, you guys were walking around naked with no clothes. Adam and Eve was doing it.
Ain't they white?
Yeah. Yeah, ain't they white? Uh-huh. Exactly. Hit him with that. But Job 10:22. Give me that.
Come on.
In Nahum 3:1.
This is the book of Job, chapter 10, verse
Nahum
2.
I see y'all like, oh, Nahum. What's that?
What is that?
Some of them people in the chat, what's that Nahum? Go ahead.
What?
That's not in the Bible.
Right. This is Job chapter 10, verse 22.
Nahum.
A land of darkness, as darkness itself, and of the shadow of death, without any order, and where the light is as darkness.
Mm-hmm. This land is without no order and its darkness. How do you expect to have somebody tell you where you come from? I don't see. Don't play me out. But look, this land is full of darkness, man. Right? And it's no order. How are you expecting to have somebody teach you something the way that this brother did, right? And the research that they did comes from somebody that has no order. The research that they did comes from somebody that lives in darkness. Esau, right? What Esau know about our culture? The people that stole our culture over there in Israel right now don't even do it right. And they stole it. They stole it and don't do it right. So how could you believe what they say about a book that they supposedly made to give to us? It don't make no sense. This man was on Clubhouse all night. That's why he just, you see? Nahum 3:1.
This is the book of Nahum, chapter 3 and verse 1. Woe to the bloody city. It is full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not.
See that? Keep going.
The noise of a whip and the noise of the rattling of the wheels and of the prancing and of the prancing horses and of the jumping chariots.
See, Most High made these things happen, right? This is scenery. As we read this, I want y'all to visualize, you know what I'm saying, what's actually going on here. You feel what I'm saying? I want y'all to visualize what's being said by name. Because it could get graphic in your mind as you're seeing this, right? It says, woe unto the bloody city. It is full of lies and robbery, right? What's the lies and robbery that this bloody city is full of, right? First of all, where does the concept of the bloody city come from, right? Y'all remember Habakkuk, chapter 2 and 12? Go to the city built in blood, huh? So we're talking about America here, right? So here's Nahum speaking about that same bloody city, and he's saying it's full of lies and robbery, right? What they lie about? What's some things that they lied about here in America?
Image of a Mashiach.
The image of a Mashiach and Habashah. They got white Jesus at every church. White Jesus billboard. White Jesus commercials. Right? They lied about the Israelites. Right? They got Jehovah's Witnesses knocking on your door every single Saturday, Wednesday, Friday, showing you women in the book.
They won't come to my house.
You got the Mormons riding their bike to your house with their little suits on and stuff, trying to show you, hey, being black is a curse. Correct? It's a curse in the book, but it's not a curse in real life. That's how they, the Bible, our Bible says it's a curse, but it's not really a curse because we don't want you to be offended, but it's a curse. You feel? So it's like, that's lies and robbery. What did they steal from us, right? The land, for one, my people, right? The culture, because everything they do here is based off what we got, right? Based off things we've done. This culture is built off the culture of America is supposed to be in God we trust, right? It's supposed to be built off the Bible. Why is that? Because the people of the Bible are here that were serving captivity. For this nation to flourish, they have to put the Bible at the forefront some way, even if they're not teaching it correctly, because the people of the Bible are here. Right? Same thing Cyrus did. Same thing. We didn't have a Bible yet, but we were basically at the forefront of Egyptian society too, right? We're gonna read that after you finish Nahum. We're gonna get the book of Judith. But go ahead, keep going.
Verse 3. The book of Nahum, chapter 3, verse 3. The horseman lifted up both the bright sword and the glittering spear, and there is a multitude of slain and a great number of carcasses, and there is no
keep going.
And there is none end of their corpse. They stumble upon their corpse.
You see that? That's basically what we do here in America, man. If you live in the right hood,
man.
You live in the right hood, you're gonna be stumbling over somebody's. Right? So this is real stuff. People really go through this every day. Who the horsemen? Right? One of y'all remember where that scripture is? You seen a servant on a horse?
Ecclesiastes 10:7.
Find that. Yeah, read that. Let's get that horseman. Let's show them who the horseman is, man. That's killing all our brothers and sisters, leaving the corpses on the ground, right?
That's right.
That's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 10 and verse 7. I have seen servants upon horses and princes walking as servants upon the earth.
See that? So these servants on the horses, these are your slave overseers, right? Now we call them the police, right? So that's who they are now. The slave overseers, right? The people on the horse. And what are they doing? They're killing us, right? They spears, they gun. They leaving our dead corpses in the street. Statistics say every 28 seconds we die from one of these horsemen. Right? That's what this scripture is talking about. Nahum is describing to you the things that our people go through in America. It ain't just Zechariah. All these small prophets, so to speak, so-called minor prophets, they tell you about America. They're minor books with big, huge effects.
Right?
Go ahead.
The book of Nahum, chapter 3 and verse 4. Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcraft, that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcrafts.
Look at that. Who that's talking about? The corporation of America, right? Selling everything.
That's
buying,
right.
selling will. It's a whole selling nation, right? Go ahead.
Come, behold, I am against thee, saith Yahweh of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness and the kingdoms thy shame.
And that's what's happening now, right? It started with Donald Trump. Now all the nations are looking at America like, yo, they elected this dumbass and they kept him in office for 4 years. Now it's people storming they just had a little civil war in America in 2021. The nation's looking at us like we idiots, bro. Why little Pharaoh? Why little Pharaoh couldn't do this? All that stuff you know about the Bible. Why little Pharaoh couldn't make an elaborate breakdown using some scriptures? Why he had to talk about Ptolemy and Serapis? He couldn't even pronounce Ptolemy's name right. He kept calling them the Ptolemies. How you an Egyptologist and Ptolemy was a pharaoh in Egypt and you can't pronounce his name right? You see what I'm saying, guys? The lack of research by these people is just, it's ridiculous. It's absurd. Right? Sheesh. What verse you want? 5?
Verse 6. Now, verse 6.
Bet, read that. That's all I want.
Come, book of Nahum, chapter 3 and verse 6. And I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vow, and will set thee as a gazing stock.
Mm-hmm.
And it shall come to still out.
Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass that all they that look upon thee shall flee from thee, and say, Nineveh is laid waste. Who will bemoan her? When shall I seek comforters for thee?
So that's what we gotta understand, man. It's gonna be some payback coming, yo. But it starts, you ain't gonna want payback unless you know who you are. A Christian ain't gonna want payback because they're being taught God love everybody, that their neighbor is the white man. Egyptologists don't want payback because they know they have to share Egypt with them because they were pharaohs too. Ptolemy being one of them, right? So only people that's really gonna be mad enough is us. The Muslims say they mad, but what do, right? They shave their face and wear bow ties. And go to business meetings, right? So they're not trying to assimilate. They're trying to incorporate, right? They want you to look like the white man with brown skin, with the bow tie and the tight suit jackets and the tight suit pants, right? So they're not trying to bring you any solutions. So these are the questions you gotta ask, man. That a lot of y'all didn't ask. Y'all just start, doing and saying stuff and putting out videos, you know what I'm saying? And saying all these words and make it look like you know what you're talking about, using all these temples and stuff like that, all these different councils and stuff, knowing damn well these people are not gonna do their research to find if you know what you're talking about or not.
Right.
The people that know that you don't know what you're talking about. Which is why you don't debate. That's how you know when a brother don't know what they're talking about. If you ain't never seen them debate, and if they last debate was 2015, you know why they last debate was 2015.
They got slaughtered.
Because they got slaughtered. Right?
They salaki.
The video not even up no more, but they got slaughtered and they still embarrassed about it. Go ahead.
Hey, somebody on our Bible study on Saturday.
Being popular.
One of the brothers said, we the only ones with solutions for our problems. You know what I'm saying? Like, Esau don't have a solution for our problems or his problems. You know what I'm saying? Amalek don't have a solution for our problems or his problems. No other nation has a solution for their own problems, let alone ours. We're the only one with a solution.
Give me Ezekiel 33 and 10.
Come on.
I'm already there. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 33 and verse 10. Therefore, O thou son of man, speak unto the house of Israel, does she speak, saying, if our transgressions and our sins be upon us, and we pine away in them, how shall we then live?
See, you're right. We're the only ones that got the solution for ourselves, right? If we're gonna continue to pine away in our sin, how we gonna live? How we gonna have the life we want here? You're never gonna have a life here because this ain't your rest. But how you gonna have a life to be okay with and happy with if you're not even doing what the Most High asks you to do? Right? And are you doing any of those things as an Egyptologist?
What laws do they have? Like,
you want to know what laws they have?
Nope, not.
I'll show you what laws they have.
You showed us earlier.
Yeah, they bugged out.
I don't want to know nothing they do.
That's what the whole Leviticus 18 speaking about Egypt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm good on them.
So we pining away at our own sin, man. We're here for that. We're supposed to be trying to find solutions. And the main solution, the only solution, right, is coming back to the law, statutes, and commandments.
That's right.
What's that? Deuteronomy 10 and 12? Give me that.
Come. It's the book of Deuteronomy. Come. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 10 and verse 12.
Mm-hmm.
And now, Israel, what does the Most High thy power require of thee? But to fear the Most High thy power, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Most High thy power with all thy heart and with all thy soul, to keep the commandments of the Most High and his statutes, which I command thee this day for thy good.
Right. That's the whole conclusion of the matter, man. Keep the commandments.
That's right.
Come back to the law, statutes, commandments. Come back to your heritage, right? That the Most High gave you. We're doing this to try to find our heritage, to try to find what we lost without realizing that the thing we lost is right in front of us, man. The thing we lost is right in front of you, bro. It's on your mama's dresser right now. It's in the Bible cabinet. Y'all got a cabinet, not a drawer, because you just leave it in there and don't look at it because you never open it. It's in the Bible cabinet, right? It's the book that got the H word on it. It only got an H and a Y, and all the rest of the words is like the rest of the letters is gone because you never used it. But that's what you need to be getting into right here. This right here, right? You need to buy one of these so that you're not making the mistake that dude made, right? Because this right here explains to you that these together is your heritage, right? Tell me what the tell me what the tombs say, what the hieroglyphics say, right? Rosetta Stone can't tell you.
I must be
That
using
French
my
dude,
pocket for
Rosetta Stone folks can't tell you. So why are you trying to find something that don't even have like researchable answers? You can't even research to read what's on the dang walls in Egypt because nobody's translated it. We know what the Bible say. So much so that they was able to try to make new transliterations to fit different narratives. That's how much of the Bible we was able to translate. How many Egyptian Book of the Dead did they make? Right? Don't Esau like to steal stuff? If it was of any importance, wouldn't they have made 1 million of them like they did the Bible? They even got a bunch of Qurans now. Why they don't got 1 million Egyptian Book of the Dead? Why there isn't 23,000 different forms of the laws of my eye? Right? They don't ask these questions. So everything else was tampered with. The white man stole everything, including Egypt, because he in all the movies as the Egyptians and stuff. But the laws of Ma'at, he just left them alone. He ain't got nothing to do with that. The Egyptian Book of the Dead. He was in Egypt all that time, and he ain't never touched that book. That's what they think. There's Edomites on the walls in Egypt right now, but they never touched their stuff. Only the Bible stuff got touched by the white man.
Hold up, I don't want to wait. The noses got blew off the daggone Sphinx, but Esau never touched their stuff.
Yeah. Hey, let Esau tell it. The Sphinx is a griffin. That's his last name. His name Andy Griffin. And and the Sphinx is an Edomite, and then the Egyptians ain't got nothing to do with it anyway, right? You remember the Boule video?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So take it from Esau, Egyptian ain't got nothing to do with the Sphinx.
But no, their stuff never got touched though.
Hey, I'm saying. So let's send y'all with a good note, right? Something that maybe the Afrocentrics and all the people that speak against the Bible that be on Clubhouse and stuff, maybe something that might get their attention, right? Let's go to Leviticus 26. Let's end on that note. Let's start at 27. Let's get the gist so they know what we're talking about.
All right.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 26 and verse 27. And if ye will not for all this hearken unto me, but walk contrary unto me, then I will walk contrary unto you also in fury, even I, and I, even I, will chastise you 7 times for your sins.
Mm-hmm.
And ye shall eat the flesh of your sons, and the flesh of your daughters shall ye eat. And I will destroy your high places and cut down your images, and cast your carcasses upon the carcasses of your idols, and my soul shall abhor you.
You see that, bro? Yo, Most High not playing, bro. He not playing. He not playing with you, bro. He gonna throw your carcasses on top of, bro. Bodies on bodies, bro. You know what I'm saying? The Most High not playing. But look, I brought this out because this is stuff that Moses was telling us when we left Egypt, right? This is the book of Leviticus. And Egypt's what we're talking about right now. Egyptologists, one of the things that Young Negro and, you know, all the other brothers, Sarah Super Spaghetti, Jabari Ogeye, and you know, all they all say that there's no historical evidence to prove the validity of Israel and the Exodus and all that stuff, right? But if they read the Bible, they would know that the history is there, right? The same book they used to get their history on Alexander the Greek Freak, because there's no history on him before this Apocrypha. I proved that already, right? The same book that gives us what the other nations know about our time in Egypt. So I'm going to read this real quick before we get back to Leviticus. It's the book of Judith in the Apocrypha, chapter 5. I'll start at verse 5. Then Achior, the captain of all the sons of Ammon, so this is a Japanese dude, right? Let my Lord now hear a word from the mouth of thy servant. He's speaking to Holofernes, the chief war captain of the Assyrian, Shalmaneser, the king Shalmaneser of Assyria, right? So, yeah, okay. So, Achior, the captain of all the sons of Ammon, let the word, let my Lord now hear the word from the mouth of thy servant, and I will declare unto thee the truth concerning this people, which is us, which dwelleth near thee, inhabited the hill countries, right? If you've ever been to Israel, if you've seen it, you know it's a very hilly, mountainous region. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about the places in Israel, right? Which the book of Judith is surrounded by our knowing the outlay of our land and stuff like that, and using it to our advantage. That's basically how we won this war here, using the hills and stuff like that. But just listen to what he said. So, yeah. All right. I will declare thee the truth concerning this people which dwelleth near thee and inhabited the hill countries, and there shall no lie come out of my mouth of thy servant. So he's saying this is going to be 100% the truth. He's a Japanese man, Ammonite. So whatever story he's about to tell is a story that everybody in the whole region knew. This was the stories they would tell about the Israelites. So the thing he's about to tell is the feeling and the sentiment towards all the other nations toward the Israelites at this time, because they know our power, they know our story, right? So just listen to what he says. He can't tell a lie, he said. He's talking to his master, right? Verse 6. This people are descended from the Chaldeans, right? Or the Chaldeans, however you want to pronounce it. Who is Abraham, our forefather, the one who we got the promise from to be the Israelites? Who does he descend from?
Chaldeans.
The Chaldeans, right? So far he's telling the truth. Verse 7. And they sojourned heretofore in Mesopotamia. Where did we say that Abraham comes from? What's the civilization that the Chaldeans and Chaldea or Chaldea, whatever you want to call it, where was that place located?
Mesopotamia.
Mesopotamia. So far he's telling the truth. Okay. So, and they sojourned hereunto in Mesopotamia because they would not follow the gods of their fathers, which were in the land of Chaldea. Ain't that what happened with Abraham? The Most High said, you know, hey, Abraham, I'll make you a father of many nations if you leave your gods and have faith and follow me, right? And that's what he did. So far, the dude telling the truth. He ain't lying yet. Verse 8. for they left the way of their ancestors and worshipped the God of heaven. Dang. Okay. The God whom they knew. So they cast them out from the face of their gods, and they fled into Mesopotamia, and they sojourned there many days. Wasn't Jacob and them born in that area, in that region?
Yep.
Many days, right? Okay. All right. So far, you tell the truth. Verse 9. Then their God commanded them to depart from the place where they sojourned, meaning leave Mesopotamia, leave the Middle East, leave the Fertile Crescent, right? For those of you that don't know where Mesopotamia would have been, it's like all of Iraq, all of Assyria, Jordan, Israel, all of that stuff, right? Put together. That's Mesopotamia. All right. Come. Okay, then their God commanded them to depart from the place where they sojourned and go into the land of Canaan. Where did we go when we was going into Egypt?
Land of Canaan.
Yeah, so far he's telling the truth. He ain't lying. All right. So notice he's not an Edomite. Most High made this an Ammonite, because Esau would have told a lie. He's been lying since he came out the womb, right?
That's right. That's right.
That's just more proof that the scriptures is the truth. All right. So where they dwelt and were increased with gold and silver and with very much cattle, right? So we got to the land of Canaan and got rich. Ain't that what happened?
That's how we came out of Egypt.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. All right. So look. But when a famine covered all the land, right? They went down into Egypt and they sojourned there. Because if you read the book of Genesis, there was a famine. After all their brothers was born, that's how we got here, right? So Joseph and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, oh, years later, we got to go to Egypt. Maybe we'll see Joseph.
Yeah, kind of.
Right? So, and they sojourned there while they were nourished and became a great multitude. How were we nourished and became a great multitude? Because we saw Joseph. He didn't hold a grudge against the children of his people.
Mm-hmm.
He let us in. He let us live. And we grew. We even got to the point when you do the research, the Amu Hyksos took over for about 100 years. That's why they kicked us out for the Exodus. They had to take the land back and then kick us out so we wouldn't take over again. And in that video that I was showing you with the teacher, he's going to explain that. I just didn't, have enough time to play it. But if y'all want to go back and watch that video, you can watch it on your own time. Within 30 minutes of the video, he's going to explain that to you. Right? So even this African American studies teacher knows that Israel is a valid place and that the Israelites were valid people in Egypt, right? And this man, Achior, in the Bible is validating that. So it says, but when the famine covered the land of Canaan, they went down into Egypt and they sojourned there while they were nourished and became a great multitude so that one could not number their nation. How did we come out of the Exodus? Ain't that when we became a nation that no man could number? That's why it was such an amazing thing that all of us escaped. Moving on. Therefore, the king of Egypt rose up against them and dealt subtly with them and brought them low with laboring in brick and made them slaves. What did we labor in brick and do? What were we doing with these bricks? What did they use bricks for in Egypt? Damn it. Pyramids. With these Egyptologists to tell you those stones are thousands of tons. There's no way a man could have carried those high into the air. It wasn't just one man. And it wasn't no regular man either. These are the sons of Abraham, you idiot.
That's right.
Hello? You think the Most High chose the feeble one? He got good stock, good seed. We the gods of the earth. You think we can't carry some bricks? We closer to our power back then than we are now. So you got to understand that, man. You know what I'm saying? We was able to do some things. And I'm sure that they had ways of making us carry the bricks. It wasn't just one man per brick. I'm sure they had like probably 5 brothers per brick or something, maybe 10, just to lift one brick up. You see in the Prince of Egypt, if you ever seen the movie, they got the little catacombs and the little things that they use to move things up. You know what I'm saying? The little prehistoric assembly line they got going.
Yeah, Khan.
Right? So it was ways they could do things, man. It was, if they could make wooden condoms, I'm sure they could make a pulley system back then. Don't seem that far-fetched. But these people don't want to believe that it was possible for them to make the pyramids, because then if it was some people that were slaves in Egypt and it's the people that's slaves in spiritual Egypt, most likely they're the same people. If the slaves in Egypt built up the whole country and the world of Egypt and stuff like that, and there were some slaves that built up the whole country of America the same way, most likely they're the same people. You have something to say?
I'm about to say, man, I think his name Ken Whitley. He built the cotton mill on the plantation. So our people been had this. You know, that's further proof. You know what I'm saying?
Huh. So, you know, they brought us low, right? So we went from being a great nation, no man could number, great multitude, we were nourished, right? Got more people. Then they took back over. Now we're laboring in brick, right? Then they cried unto their God, which is us. We cried unto the Most High, right? And he smote all the land of Egypt with incurable plagues, so that the Egyptians cast them out of their sight.
Right.
We only hear about the measles and you know all them things that it talks about as far as the treacherous plagues of the Egyptians in Exodus and stuff. But I'm sure because of the things we just saw that they had some other plagues in there too that weren't mentioned. Them sexual immoral plagues. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them ain't got no cure either, and they result in death much quicker back then because they ain't got the type of medicines that we have now in the form that we have them to help you preserve your life better. Before it was a hit and miss. You either give yourself the right amount of the potion that you need or you don't. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it was much more of a dangerous situation for them to be in. So I'm sure that they had some of them diseases too. But yeah, it says, and God dried up the Red Sea before them and brought them to Mount Sinai and the cade's barn and cast forth all that dwelt in the wilderness. So they dwelt in the land of the Amorites, and they destroyed by the strength of all them of Esbon, and passing over Jordan, they possessed all the hill country. Right? They cast forth before them the Canaanite, the Perizzite, the Jebusite, the Sychemite, and all the Gergesites, and they dwelt in that country many days. He just gave you a whole story. He just gave you the whole Exodus story, the whole Genesis story. He gave you the
broke
beginning,
it down too.
And he's a foreigner. So if he knows how to summarize our story like this, what you think the other nations knew about us? He's telling them something they already know. He ain't explaining something that's unknown to this dude. He know who he is already. He's reminding him, sir. I'm about to remind you who these people is, and everything I'm about to say ain't gonna be a lie. Why he said it ain't gonna be a lie? Because he know that the dude know it ain't gonna be a lie, because everybody done heard about us already. They all know who he is. Right? King David came and gone by this time. Everybody served King David.
God.
Right? So look, back to Leviticus. So we can shut down. I just want to bring that out so that you know it's even in the Bible what we did in Egypt. But go ahead.
We were at verse
32 or something.
29.
Oh, okay.
26 and 29, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You sure that's what it is?
Yeah, Khan.
No, I don't think we was there. Hold on.
Just read it.
That's the last picture I read.
Yeah, all right. Read 30 then.
Oh, that was Judah was reading Salaki. My bad.
Yeah, Judah think he read that. That's why I can't remember. He like, I don't remember this.
What?
Go ahead.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 26 and verse 30. And I will destroy your high places and cut down your images and cast your carcasses upon carcasses of your idols, and my shows shall abhor you. And I will make your
Keep going. This is the Most High telling the Egyptians how mad he is of y'all, right? And if you guys don't come back to your true heritage, this is going to be the result of you, right? This is young Pharaoh's death. He going, I'm not going to do the brother like that. I'm do it like that. So like, go ahead.
Verse 31. And I will make your cities waste and bring your sanctuaries unto desolation, and I will not smell the savior of your sweet odors.
See that? So the Most High straight up tells you, if you guys aren't going to hearken unto my law, statutes, commandments, and come back to these law, statutes, and commandments that I gave you, I'm not even going to be messing with y'all no more. Right? Keep reading.
Come on. And I will bring the land into desolation, and your enemies which dwell therein shall be astonished at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I will scatter you among the heathen, and will draw out a sword after you, and your land shall be desolate, and your cities waste.
And that's almost what he did in the book of Judith, man. He saved us that day, but afterwards we still didn't catch on. So he said, all right, I gave y'all that chance, y'all blew it, so screw it. Go to captivity. Go sit in the corner. Right? So that's what happened. And we still in that same position. We still in that same spot because brothers are deciding not to listen, deciding not to do the real research, deciding to stop where they feel comfortable. Right? The truth is uncomfortable, man. Sometimes you might have to grow up believing that this is a white man's book and then do the research to find out, oh, I was wrong. And then have the humbleness to say, I was wrong and accept the facts for what they are and then move on from that point. But a lot of y'all ain't got to that point yet. That's why we're making this video. You know what I'm saying? It's to make those that think like him and all the other people that think like this, you know, we make the comments we make to make you feel stupid, So that it's like, yo, you know, why am I thinking like this? Some teach with compassion, some teach with fear. I prefer fear. This is what it is, right? Go ahead.
This the book Leviticus chapter 26 and 34. Then shall the land enjoy her Sabbaths, as long as it lieth desolate, and ye be in your enemy's land. Even then shall the land rest and enjoy her Sabbaths.
See that? So, I mean, let me see how far I want to jump. Let's go to verse 40.
That verse sound like when Christ gave you Leviticus 21 and 24.
When
he said that the Gentiles shall trot down Jerusalem to the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled, man.
And that's what's happening. Luke. Go ahead.
That's the book of Leviticus chapter 26 and verse 40. They shall confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their fathers, which they trespassed against me, and that also they have walked contrary unto me, and that I also have walked contrary unto them, and have brought them into a land of their enemies. If then their uncircumcised hearts be humbled, and they then,
if their uncircumcised hearts be more pumped up, because they mad at the Most High, because he shouldn't have put them in captivity to their enemies.
If then their uncircumcised heart be humbled.
No. We ain't gotta be humble. Cause the God of the Bible, who could be born into sin? How you born into sin? Cause like the God of the Bible, the one made you sin. How you born into sin and you get punished for sin when he made you sin because you born? And he born you. Ain't that what he said?
That's exactly what he said.
Read it again.
And if then their uncircumcised heart be humbled, and they then accept of the punishment of their iniquity, then will I remember my covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham will I remember, and I will remember the land.
You see that? He said, if they shall confess their iniquity
Mm-hmm.
and the iniquity of their fathers. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Most High, I'm sorry that my pop and my great grandfather and everybody this, that, and the third wasn't following the law, statutes, commandments. A lot of y'all is like, I didn't know my daddy, so after that nigga, he my sperm donor, this, that, and the third. You ain't even apologize for your forefathers yet. You ain't repent how he asked you to do it yet. You ain't follow the directions. You wonder why stuff ain't changed. You ain't really repent. He asked you to repent for yourself and your forefathers because they not here to do it, right?
That's right.
Same way Esau got to pay for his family's mistakes because, his forefathers wasn't there to pay for him. We got to prepare that slaughter for the wickedness of his fathers. You have to repent for the wickedness of yours.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of our people ain't going to get that far because they don't want to accept their faults. They want to just accept what's comfortable. Afrocentrism, right? Says that if you confess your iniquity and the iniquity of your forefathers with their trespass, right, which they trespassed against him, and that they walked contrary to him, and that he also walked contrary unto us or to them, and have brought them into the land of their enemies, right? But then he said, but you can't just look at me like that. You got to have a humble heart.
Yeah, come.
The most I said, so I'm gonna admit it was probably a little harsh that I put you in the land of your enemies, but you better not tell me that. You better just come humble, nigga. Right? That's how the Most High he tell you like your dad. Your dad whoop your ass, you're crying. He's like, son, I'm sorry I whooped your ass like that. I ain't want to do it. But you're a badass kid, and I got you can't spare the rock. So it be like that sometimes. That's how he's doing to you. So all right, like I had to do that the other day. But so, it's true. So look, and that I also walked contrary to them, and I've brought them into the land of their enemies. And if their uncircumcised hearts be humble, they then accept of the punishment of their iniquity. Then will I remember my covenant. You got to do all that stuff. You got to accept what you did wrong. Not just blame him, but accept what you did wrong, accept what your forefathers did wrong, and then he's going to switch up what's going down, right? So that's how we have to look at the situation, man. It's got to be self-accountability that's been brought up here. You're not going to find out who you really are unless you're trying to do so. You're not going to be able to teach who you really are unless you learn who you really are first. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Mistakes of fools. So, oh man, I guess that's it for tonight. It's more we could bring out, but I don't want to do it. Just remember, man, don't keep companions of fools, yo. The Proverbs 13 and 20. You know what I'm saying? Fools shall be destroyed. So we don't want to just adhere to what people are saying without knowing the basis of their scholarship, without knowing how deep they went into doing their research. Because if they didn't do much, you're going to be believing a lie, which means you learn from the blind. And what does the scripture say about when the blind lead the blind?
They fall into a ditch.
Y'all both dead. You see?
That's right.
That's how it goes. So hope you understand what this lesson was about. If you got any people that's on this African American Studies thing, that's screaming for Juneteenth in February because they just that happy about being black. Send them the video, man, so they can learn where they really come from. You know what I'm saying? Send them the channel so they can watch some videos about the history. They can watch the other Milk Monday videos. Send them to camp so they can speak to the brothers in person. Right? And if you don't live in Georgia, send them to a camp that's near you. that teach the doctrine correctly. There's a bunch of them out there.
That's right.
Masharah Yasharallah is all over the United States. And some of us are now out of the United States. So there's plenty of different ways you can get this knowledge, plenty of different ways you can spread this knowledge. You just got to be the one to try to do it. Right? So with that, we are the Sons of Thunder Israelites. It is our prayer and heart's desire that all Israel might be saved. We give all honor and glory to the Most High Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Yahweh Shah. I'm Brother Ayah.
So it's Judah.
And Brother Raya.
Shalom.
Shalom.